The type of stitching that we're going to learn is a single thread netting stitch. I'm going to be using some 6/0 seed beads, item number EB698, and then I'm also going to be using size D Nemo thread in a red color, item number BC905, so that you can see it better on the video. The first thing that you'll do is you'll take your needle and you'll pick up one seed bead. String this seed bead so that you have about a 2 to 3, even a 4-inch long tail. It's completely up to you. Then take your needle and then go back through this bead again, making a loop with that cording. When you pull the cording tight, the loop will close around the bead, cinching it in place. This is what's referred to as a stop bead. Count this as 1 and thread on a total of 17 beads. Now at this point I have 16 free seed beads on my cording and my stop bead, so I have 17 beads total on my cord. For my stop bead, there's a couple of different ways that you can use this. You can go through this once, like I just showed you in the previous segment, but that will still be a little bit loose. And when you're working in netting stitch and many of the other stitchings, you do want to leave your stitch work fairly tight. One option is to go through your stop bead a second time. This really will hold your stop bead in place. Another option is to do like what I'm doing here with my left hand. I personally like to leave about a 4 to 6 inch long tail with my cording, and while I know that that's a waste because I won't necessarily use that to attach a toggle clasp or anything else with this netting stitch, I will hold onto my cording by wrapping it around a finger, and this allows me to work and keep my work tight. So this is what is considered your base stitch. All 17 of these will form the base stitch and you'll build off of this. So your next step then is to take 5 more seed beads, and you can choose to use this in the same color that you were working with before, but for video purposes I'll be using a different color so that you can see the effect a bit clearer. Here I have the 5 seed beads that I was talking about. Now to attach these, go back to your base stitch, or the black seed beads that I have here, and count out 5 from the right to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Single out this seed bead and take your needle back through this seed bead and then pull tight. Now when I lay this down on the table so that I can show you what I'm doing, you'll notice that there's a bit of a loop. It's really not defined. It'll look more like a triangle the more that we work with it. So put 5 more seed beads onto your cording now, and at this point come back up to your base stitch for a minute. This seed bead, the 5th one that we went through, will be considered seed bead number 1 for your second group. So count 5 more out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another way to look at this, if you're looking in between each of the seed beads that you've gone through with your cording, you'll see 3 free seed beads. So if you want to, you can also count that way. Don't count the seed bead that you went through, but count 3 over and then go through the next one. So repeat whichever way that you want to count, but string on so that you have 4 of these, what I have in this video, white seed bead groups attached to your base stitch. This is what it looks like with all 4 of your groupings on your base stitch. Now you can see with this last group that we did that it's really starting to resemble more of a triangle shape. If you're using smaller seed beads, such as 8s, 11s, or even 15s, and the more seed beads that you use when you're using smaller seed beads, it will be a more pronounced triangle shape as opposed to this rounded triangle shape that I'm achieving with the 6/0 seed beads. So now that I'm done with this whole line of seed beads, how do I make the turn? This is extremely easy. You have your cording coming out of your last seed bead or your stop bead, and your cording is coming out through the left. Well, to make our next triangle, we need to come back down through the left side of this triangle. What better way to do that than to bring the cording around and back through 3 of the 5 in your last triangle set. So this is what you should be left with. Now your cording is coming out at the very bottom of your triangle. This is also why you use odd number seed beads when you're making this netting. The odd number, this right here, will make the point of your triangle. This is also the seed bead that you'll be coming out of for each additional netting stitch. So now, just like before, thread on 5 more seed beads, and now I'm going to go back to that black color so that you can see what I'm doing. And this part is very easy. Now you don't have to come back up to this base stitch at all. Instead, you come back over to the next point on the adjacent group to the one that you were working with. This is what you're left with. Repeat again for the whole length of your stitching. This is what you're left with after doing your second row of netting stitch. This is all that you really need to learn in order to do the netting stitch. A lot of times this stitch is used as a pendant for a necklace, or you can even, if you keep the lines nice and straight, you can use it as a bracelet or even earrings. Use this in all sorts of different applications and you'll be very thrilled with just how easy it is to use a single needle netting stitch.